Hey guys, first, how fitting is that shirt? How fitting is it? Isn't that awesome? So anyway, thanks for clicking on the video and welcome back to the channel. So today we have Owen's bike in the stand, which we're going to do a quick review and bike check because I realized I didn't really do a full-on bike check on this bike. So anyway, this is a phenomenal bike. Owen's had it since last September. I got it end of season last year, and he put about 8 or 9 rides on that last year, and so far 5 rides on it this year. So he didn't really get a chance to feel it out last year after he got it. So now he's riding it this year, and he's riding it more aggressively. Every year we just tend to progress more and just ride a little bit more aggressively each year. But this year seems to be different. This year seems to be more aggressive riding sooner than what we usually do. So anyway, this is a Norco Torrent S2. So S2, the S stands for steel, and this is like Norco's model naming scheme. It's, you know, the S1 would be the top tier, and the S2 is second from the top, obviously. So anyway, this is a steel frame hardtail, which in my opinion, steel frame hardtails are like the best hardtails. You get the dampening feel of the steel. You get a ride quality that is like you just can't get out of aluminum. Aluminum is so stiff for a hardtail. Steel is just a little bit more forgiving, and it's a quiet frame. It's all externally routed, which I love because it's easier to work on, and you don't get that annoying cable rattle when the cables are fed through the tubes internally, and there's no like dampening foam in the tubes, or unless you buy a $5,000 bike, they're not going to have internal cable guides. So in my mind, external routing, I love external routing. I think it should be on every bike. That's just my opinion. I know it's not the popular opinion, but it's my opinion. And you know, it just, I don't know, it makes so much more sense to have externally routed cables. So it does have that old school look to the frame, but the way Norco did it is they've ran the cables on this side, on the non-drive side, not underneath, but kind of, and not right on the side, but kind of like off center, the side to underneath. And it's cool. It's really cool how they did it. So a lot of people don't like it because they think, oh, it'll snag on stuff. Well, I don't know. He's never snagged it on anything. You know, it's the typical thing, you know, why derailleur hangers were invented. Well, your derailleur hanger will break before the derailleur breaks, and that'll save your derailleur. But you just got to buy the hanger. Well, I don't know. I've never broken a derailleur, and neither has he. So anyway, it's just one of those things. I love external cable routing. So I digress, and I move on to the fork. So the fork is a RockShox 35 Gold RL. So it is an air fork. It's one of RockShox's lower end forks, but it's a great fork for him. He doesn't weigh a lot. You know, he weighs like 138 pounds, I think. And he's, you know, 5'11". And nice. The fork works great. It does have that suck sound, but that's just the sound of oil moving through the dampers. And then, like I said, it's a 150 travel, but it's a 35 mil stanchion, so it's a nice stiff fork for him. It's perfect for him. And then up at the cockpit here, it did come with Norco's proprietary bar and stem, which is a 35 mil clamp diameter actually, so it's super stiff. But since then, he's put a P&W loam stem, which is like a really nice stem. It's all CNC machined and everything. It's a really nice stem. But we've gone back down to the 31.8 bar clamp diameter because we really don't need the 35. And then he's got my old bars, my older bars on there, the Alpha Ride bars, which are 800 mil wide, and they do have a 27 mil rise. So nice cockpit setup. The drivetrain is a Dior drivetrain. It's a 12-speed Dior drivetrain from Shimano. So you got obviously the 12-speed Dior shifter. Then you've got the Dior Shadow derailleur, which does have a clutch on it. It's a Dior chain. It's the Shimano Dior cranks. Also, the cassette is Shimano Dior 12-speed cassette. The hubs are both Shimano. On this bike, this is a 2023 because of the fact that it's a 2023. That's still like the COVID overflow when all the parts were still like missing, and they just had to piece bikes together at that time. So we did end up getting Shimano hubs front and rear on this bike that came stock. Usually it's the Bear Paw hubs, but the wheels that came on here are the Stans Flow S2 wheels, which is a better wheel set than the Stans Flow D wheel set that was supposed to come on this bike from stock. So, scored both front and rear wheels a little bit better, and also the hubs much better than the Bear Paw hubs that Norco usually puts on their lower and build specs. So anyway, yeah, great wheel set. The tires did come stock on this bike, the tires that are on it currently, and they are front Maxxis Assegai, 2.5 width, 29 inch. The back here is a Dissector, a Maxxis Dissector, 2.4 inch. And what I really like about this is they didn't go cheap on the casings either. They actually spec'd a tire that you would normally spec on a bike like this, what its intended ride purpose is for. So this is an aggressive steel hardtail, so you want to spec, in my mind, Norco did right. They spec'd these tires. So both tires have the 3C Max Terra EXO Plus. So that to me is like the little attention to detail that I love about spec like this. You know, you wouldn't normally see bike brands spec a tire with good casing on it. You know, they just spec not the bottom of the barrel, but the lowest end spec they can, just to put it on there to save money to put it somewhere else. But in my mind, this bike, everything about this bike, all the spec, honestly, it seems very thoughtfully done. It seems very thoughtfully spec'd. Even the dropper post is a Manic Fusion. It's not a Trans-X. It's not a Trans-X. It's a Manic Fusion dropper. So to me, it does have like a faster return than a Trans-X dropper. The dropper lever is, well, it's cheap feeling and looking, but it works. It really does. It really feels nice and fluid, and Owen likes it. We just put a little bit of a sticky patch on the thumb pad so you get a little bit more grip because it is smooth. Owen really likes it, and quite honestly, so do I. There's no need to spend another $95 to $100 on just getting a new dropper lever. There's literally no need. So run it till it breaks is how we think about it. So yeah, honestly, it's got a 73 mil threaded bottom bracket, and it uses the Shimano through like Holotech style bottom bracket. And let me talk about the brakes. So I actually did a video separate on the brakes, and I'll link that video actually in the end cards at the end of the video. So please watch to the end. I'll link that video if you want to know more about the MT420 4-piston brakes from Shimano. I go over the brakes in, I go over the brakes in a review type setting video, but I am telling you, these brakes are phenomenal. They're really, really good brakes. Like, I can't, honestly, if you want to spend more money on brakes, by all means do it, obviously, but why would you want to? Like, these brakes are phenomenal. We did, because we had them, okay? I'm not saying you need to do this, but because we already had them, we had an SLX brake set, 2-piston, that we just had laying around, and I said to him, I said, well, why don't you put the brake levers on your brake set, on your bike? Not the calipers, but the brake levers only. Because the brake levers from Shimano SLX, is also cross-compatible with the 420 calipers, because the 420 calipers run the BH90 hydraulic hosing. So that's what we did. We put the SLX levers on, but left the 420 brake calipers and left all the regular hydraulic hose. And I'm telling you, you get the modulation from the SLX levers, and you get the power from the 4-piston brake calipers from the 420s. And these brakes actually did come with metal pads. They did not come stock with organic. They came stock with metal pads. And they also came, this bike also came with a 203 front rotor and a 180 rear rotor, which is awesome. And it's really nice to see that this bike came with rotors that are cross-compatible with either organic pads or metal pads, which you don't see on these types of builds. You just don't see it. Bike brands spec those bloody rotors that are not compatible with both types of pads. They spec lower end brakes on their bike builds because they put the money elsewhere. But I'm telling you, this bike, the Norco Torrent S2, is a phenomenal build spec for the price. And because it's steel, it is a little bit more expensive than its aluminum counterpart, but it's like $300 more. So you get a really solid build kit. So in my mind, steel, while it is a little bit heavier, like a pound or two heavier, the frame, usually speaking, you get a really solid build kit. And if you're riding aggressively and you want a good solid bike, man, I'm telling you, you cannot go wrong with this bike. The other thing I want to go over just quickly is I just want to talk about the head angle. This head angle is a 64-degree head angle. So it's not crazy slack, but it is slack, and it's definitely not steep. So he does, when he's riding this, he does notice, like, if you got to make a really tight turn, it is a little bit harder to make those tight turns. This is a size large frame. So it's got a long wheelbase. The chainstays are relative, you know, to the sizing of the frame, the large. Got a nice steep seat tube angle as well. So the climbing on this bike is really good. And the descending on this bike is super stable and planted. And it just feels nice and poppy, you know. It's a fun, playful bike, and it's nice and silent ride because of the steel frame. It's got a little bit of dampening, like I said. It's just phenomenal. So what bike are you looking at currently? Drop it in the comments. Do you like the look of the steel hardtail? Do you like external cable routing? What do you think of this bike? It's a phenomenal bike. We do have tubeless inserts in. From our partner Tannus America. They sent us tubeless inserts to try out, which is awesome. We love being partnered with them. And other than that, this bike is stock, except for the grips and the pedals, and the bar and the stem. This bike is completely 100% stock, as you see it. The saddle even is a Physic alpaca saddle with the wing back. So it's a great saddle. That's what I had on my old bike, and I love that saddle. So yeah, let me know what you think, and I really appreciate you guys watching as usual. Take care, and we'll see you in the next one.